In a survival scenario, realizing that your successful escape was actually factored into a predator's plan is often more terrifying than the attack. This dynamic defines the experience of Sam, Julie, and Nyan when they arrive at the cottage. It is a structure buried deep within a hill forest, physically detached from any of the neighboring properties or main roads. Early warning signs appear immediately. The forest is unnaturally silent, Uncle D'Souza is missing, and the caretaker, Peter, offers a hollow explanation about a sudden trip to Europe while maintaining a disturbingly calm presence. This geographic isolation serves as the first actual stage of the trap. By severing the group's access to external help, the environment forces them to become entirely dependent on the strict rules of the house, a domain the entity already commands. Peter presents the Ouija board with a gravity usually reserved for high-voltage equipment. He describes it as a volatile tool requiring a precise set of maneuvers to operate safely. These instructions function as a three-step safety protocol. First, maintain absolute silence. Second, ask only clear, direct questions. Third, the connection must be explicitly severed with a goodbye before the participants move. Sam chooses to mock this system. During the ritual, he fakes a violent possession to prank his friends, actively violating the solemnity required by the protocol. The environment shifts instantly. The passive silence of the room is replaced by an aggressive energy as the coin on the board begins to move with independent, violent intent. In supernatural architecture, the sudden transition from trespasser to victim is triggered by exactly this specific type of arrogance. The deliberate breaking of established rules provides the entity with the mechanical permission needed to escalate. The entity begins the harvest by removing the group's physical autonomy. Every exit in the cottage slams shut and locks simultaneously. Inside this enclosure, the teenagers witness a projection of their own deaths. 3 bodies, matching their own physical descriptions, are seen swaying from the ceiling beams. In a moment of extreme panic, the front door suddenly swings open. The trio sprints to their car and manages to drive away, putting the cottage behind them. This data visualization tracks the mechanics of a false escape. Even as the actual danger level continues to climb, the victim's perceived stress plunges. This creates a dangerous window of perceived safety. This brief illusion of safety is a tactical maneuver. It causes the victim's adrenaline to crash and disarms their defensive psychological barriers, leaving them physically and mentally vulnerable for the final retrieval. As they flee through the forest, the entity triggers a mundane psychological lure. Sam stops the car when he realizes he left his expensive phone and all his personal data back on the cottage table. Material attachment is used here to override survival instincts. The fear of losing a digital device momentarily eclipses the terror of the haunting they just witnessed. Sam abandons the safety of the group and returns to the cottage. By splitting the party, he allows the entity to compromise him without interference. When Sam returns to the car, his movements are stiff and his voice has dropped into a heavy, hollow register. He ignores his friends' questions before launching a sudden, violent attack that knocks them unconscious. Julie and Nyan wake up to find the escape has been completely retracted. They are back in the cottage, seated at the table with the Ouija board. The physical distance they traveled was irrelevant. The trap is built on the entity's control over their perception. As long as they are within its influence, the exits are merely an illusion. Through a possessed Nyan, the entity explains its objective. It identifies human souls as a source of strength, describing a plan to convert this physical location into a permanent domain where fear serves as the primary currency. This hierarchy reveals the true status of the people they met. Uncle D'Souza and Peter are the energy sources for this expanding web, dead victims who have been integrated into the machine to lure in fresh participants. The execution is extremely rapid. Nyan suffers a violent physical seizure and dies as his soul is extracted, while Julie's consciousness is suppressed to make room for the entity's influence. This is a self-sustaining spiritual machine. Each soul captured provides the metabolic energy necessary for the entity to maintain its domain and reset the stage for the next arrival. Sam makes one final, desperate dash for the car, but the vehicle is immobilized. As he checks the rearview mirror, he sees the full extent of the entity's collection. Standing in the road are the hollow-eyed ghosts of everyone consumed by the house: Peter, D'Souza, Nyan, and Julie. At the end of the line, Sam sees his own corpse staring back at him. Sam's physical body collapses as his soul is forcefully pulled into the lineup, officially ending his long resistance. A moment of wonder. By sunrise, the cottage has been restored to a pristine state. Peter returns to the front door with a welcoming smile as a new car of victims pulls into the drive. The ultimate terror of the Ouija board trap is its perfect cyclical design. Participation is the only requirement for failure, and the hope of escape is simply the bait used to keep the loop spinning.